always make me smile when I'm feeling down. You give me such a vibe, it's totally bona fide. It's not the way you want.
Okay, well, there's not much audio that's going to be played in this because this is primarily a workflow video. Hi and welcome, my name is Darren and this is Real Pressure Flip, and it has been an extremely long time, I'm aware. I kind of want to start a new series called the Easy Series where I discuss a bunch of things that I see people struggle with and sort of want to give some tips and improvements. So today's episode is going to be, it's kind of twofold. It's zooming and panning, and I see a lot of people struggle with that. Let's just dive straight in. Okay, zooming and panning, if you're using a trackpad, that's a different story, but a lot of people are producing on a desktop, which is where they use a mouse and a keyboard. And that brings me to the first step, which we're going to talk about, is panning. I'm not talking about panning left and right channels. I'm talking more about panning the arrangement view. And how I see a lot of people do that is they go up to this area and they move this left and right, which pans it. So by the way, I've clicked and hold left click and then moved up and down, and that zooms in and out. But if you wanted to move down, I have to bring my cursor back into this area, scroll down. And if I wanted to move left, I can move left and right here. The problem with that is I have to keep moving my cursor just to do two simple things. Now, the solution for this is if you have a mouse, hopefully you have a middle click button. The middle click presses down and it turns into this hand. Press and hold, move it like that. This is a standard practice throughout a lot of other apps. There's like Figma, Revit, like FL Studio has this, and I believe Ableton has only implemented this in 12 and onwards. I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. Previously, I believe it was Command and Option, and then you click and move this. That is definitely also something that works, but it is so much easier. Instead of pressing Command, Option, and single click and hold, it is much easier to just press the middle click and pan. One thing I forgot to mention, the panning part, was not only does it work inside the arrangement view, but also in the device view. So if I press and hold middle click around here, I can also pan here. Get used to this workflow. It's going to save you a ton of time. The other thing is zooming in and out. Now there are multiple ways how you can do this. Now I am zoomed in a little bit in this position. If I wanted to see an overview of all of my tracks, I just press W on the keyboard and it sort of zooms out to an overview. See the extent of this? It's zoomed everything in. Another way to zoom in, let's just say you had a track that was sort of stretched down, or this or that, or a multitude of these things. What you can do is you can just press H for height. Previously we pressed W for width, H for height, and it will go back to every track's default state. It's not going to necessarily fit all of the tracks, because if it did, it would probably look like this to be able to fit everything, and that's kind of not what we want to see. So once again, W for width, H for height. Another way to zoom in and out is pressing and hold the command key. I believe it is the control key on Windows. Pressing and holding the command key and then scrolling up or down. That is zooming in. One more way to zoom in is specific areas. If I select this by clicking and holding and dragging, I press Z on the keyboard, it stretches it out horizontally, and if I press Z one more time, it expands it vertically. It completely just zooms in. And if I wanted to go back to the default state that I was in, I press X and X again and again and again. Nice and simple. Another way of zooming in and out is clicking and dragging like this, left and right to pan around the sample, up and down to zoom in and out. But same thing applies zooming in and out with holding command and zooming in here, and then middle click and panning left and right. I just find that this is much easier for me. And that's pretty much it for this episode. There's a lot more shortcuts that I personally swear by. It's kind of like my religion at this point, which I will talk about in the next upcoming episodes. Until then, happy producing. Be seeing ya.